I'd like to give you a couple more details about your annotated bibliography. So you have already started it. You've written an introduction and your first two annotations, and now you're trying to move forward. It's definite that you're going to rewrite this introduction, but please don't do it yet. After you've read 20 peer-reviewed journal articles, you will have so much better of a sense of what you're leading us into, what you're introducing. Right now, I would like you to include your introduction, the one that will be changed, in every single submission going forward. In your first two, you separated the introduction and annotations 1 and 2. But going forward, I would like this is a running document. So every single time you submit it, after this first submission, you will have an introduction and every single annotation that you have written. And you please number them. So I will see 1, 2, 3, 4 following the introduction. And then the next week I'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 following the introduction, all on one document. At the very end, when you're going to submit the final document, all 20 articles, you will rewrite your introduction to better match what you've actually shown, and you will remove the numbers and alphabetize the annotated bibliography. Don't do this earlier than the end because I need to see the new ones come up under their respective numbers. And that can't happen if you alphabetize from the beginning, because then I'll keep seeing the one that starts with A every single time as if it's number 1. So let's consider this topic area. I have an example for you from one of your classmates. The classmate of yours wanted to do trauma related to COVID-19, the pandemic. What has happened? How has it affected children in particular? And what's been done about it, and what's going to happen in years to come, what kind of lingering effects this pandemic is going to have. Valid topic. However, we are not far enough removed to have 20 peer-reviewed journal articles regarding the COVID-19 pandemic and the trauma related to it. However, there's probably a handful. So what I advised her, and this you can extrapolate to any topic, is that maybe she'd like to focus on trauma in school-aged children because she's becoming a school social worker. And that way she can have the first 4 that she already found, articles about COVID-19. Maybe they're with children, maybe they're not, but about the trauma related to COVID-19. And then the other 16 articles can be about different types of trauma in children. Trauma-informed therapy, trauma related to abuse, trauma related to childhood separation or family separation, trauma in preschool age kids, trauma in high school age kids. It can run the gamut. What does this look like in different populations? What does this look like with different languages? What does it look like in different geographic areas, urban, rural, suburban? That provides a bigger breadth of options to really understand trauma. So the bigger topic is trauma, and some of that very current. Related to current events is trauma related to COVID-19. There's also going to be grief and trauma, and some of that will be related to COVID-19 and people losing loved ones, but some of it will be related to people losing loved ones in other manners. And trauma and violence. I could go on and on. So if you have a topic that you feel like you're relegated to a piece of it that you're working with, then expand it. Have the piece that you're passionate about is fabulous. Have that be a piece of the overall whole and broaden it out so that when you go to use this expertise, you don't just know about one part of it, you know the bigger picture. So if you're working with children and you've studied everything about PTSD in children, let's say your topic is PTSD, then You really should know about PTSD not just in children, so you understand what that looks like when they become adults, or what the treatment, the best practices are for adults or young adults, or even different populations like veterans. You should know everything about PTSD, not just in that particular population, even though you're going to be working with that particular population. So I hope this helps. I will be commenting on your first several submissions so that they can get better as you go along. Now, one thing about the references, so each annotation, each submission, you're going to have your introduction and then numbered submissions. Each numbered submission is an annotation that starts with the reference. Make sure it's the full reference. And then at least 2 paragraphs, probably 2 paragraphs, as I've described on Blackboard and under resources for annotated bibliographies, as well as examples. Each annotation should fully explain that particular article, which should have been a study. So what did they do in this study? Was it valid? Was it a good study? What methods did they use? And the strengths and weaknesses of the study, as well as a piece of how you will be utilizing this information. How does it relate to what you will be doing? So I can read through and get a full picture of how this particular article will be helping you as a social worker.